edition of Tech Talks with NASSCOM Insights. My name is Bandev Ghosh, and I lead the AI and data science vertical at NASSCOM Insights. Today, we are gathered here to discuss about the state of data science and AI skills in India. In this discussion, we will focus our talk on the area driving the demand for data science and AI skills in India and the key skills that are in demand within DS and AI. On behalf of NASSCOM Insights, I would like to welcome Sirisha Peyyeti, Senior Vice President, Head of Solutions, Digital Engineering Services at Cigniti, Pravin Mhaske, Manager, Data Science, Infosys, and an ardent teacher and mentor of data science, and Jeetendra Singh, Senior Director, Data Sciences, Research and Analytics at WNS. Sirisha is a business leader with over 18 years of experience in IT services industry, focused on the areas of data and analytics. She has delivered multiple data projects in data warehousing, data migration, data exchange, BI, visualization, and analytics. She is highly experienced in solution consulting with a strong focus on digital thinking and customer empathy across multiple domains. She has had exposure to different technology stacks throughout her career, coupled with common sense, which help deliver digital transformation projects. Pravin Mhaske is a data science, analytics, and ML practitioner with hands-on experience in predictive modeling, statistical analysis, network analysis, and graph databases. Passionate teacher of all quantitative subjects who knows what the learner exactly needs and understands. Lifetime learner of maths, stats, and all quantitative sciences. Avid data hacker, participated in and won several data science hackathons and competitions. Jeetendra Singh is an alumni of IIT Chennai and TU Karlsruhe University in Germany, having 20 plus years of experience in leading AI/ML and analytics/data engineering practice, cloud migration and transformation, business consulting and data-driven transformation, handling large digital transformation initiatives and software development and program management. He's a key people leader who has successfully led and motivated his team towards growth and success in the organization, created a clear and compelling view of the future through coaching and execution. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of NASSCOM Insights. So we can start with the question, what is driving the demand for data science and AI skills in India? Now, this is a generic question, so I would like to have your opening remarks, starting with maybe Sirisha.
Sure. First off, thanks for setting up this session. I think it's a very relevant topic. So to get back to your question on what is driving the demand, let me just start off by saying who we are, right? So when we talk about Cigniti as a company, we've been in business for more than a couple of decades. We've had customers in the Fortune 100, Fortune 500, as well as startups who just have an idea and they're putting together their plan and making a mark and dent in the tech world. So what has happened so far traditionally is data sciences or AI, ML has always been considered very, very close to the business, something that was in academia and then moved into the regular world. But people were not, as in customers were not willing to share a lot of work downstream to offshore or for that matter nearshore or anything in terms of outsourcing. But that inevitably has changed over time. That is one thing. And there is no business today that is not trying to leverage the capabilities of AI ML. So any customer that we're working with, any customer that we're talking to, whether they're in the retail space, whether they're in the manufacturing space, it doesn't matter, banking, everybody wants to bring in efficiencies or experience improved for their customers. And that inevitably includes ML. And that work is coming to us. And there is a lot of high-end work. There's a lot of what Indian IT services were not known for being delivered through machine learning and AI technologies in that sense. So in my opinion, what's driving AI in India is companies being open about it and AI becoming all pervasive and actually enterprise grade today. Thank you.
Pravin, you'd like to have your views on that as well?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what Sirisha said. Like, there is no business who can live without AI. I would go back a step, not just AI or ML. There is no business which can live without data. They say like it's the new fuel. You need to run it, no matter what business you are in. you can have your own data. You can. There are companies who are surviving who just deal with data. I mean, like there are a lot of if you talk about social media or even YouTube and all, but individual companies also, they have their own data, their primary data, and that can really be helpful for them to make their decisions. So to start with healthcare, take retail, take aviation, no matter, it is not an IT business anymore. So every industry needs data. So I mean, everywhere it is required. I mean, we need experts who can understand data, make sense out of the data. So
it's more like every company is a data company, every company is a tech company.
Yes.
More or less like that. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks. Jeetendra, your inputs on this. I mean, would you also like to talk about, from the perspective of people who want to take up careers in data science and AI? Is it also the level of interest which is increasing because of certain factors which is driving the demand? Like, for example, better career prospects or compensation, or more challenging roles or more challenging projects, etc.
So first of all, thanks Bandev for bringing us together and giving this platform to share our experience. So maybe starting with, as Sirisha said, who we are. So basically WNS is about 20 plus years old company. It was part of a British Airways captive unit, and then it was hyped up as an independent company. And what a humble journey it is, that from a captive unit of 200, 500 people working out of Bangalore, today we are $1 billion plus run rate company, and about 60,000 plus people working across the globe, and primary delivery centers in Asia, a few centers in Africa, and then China, East European countries as well. But of course, we are serving the US, European, and across the world vertically, I mean virtually, right? So that's the context. And if I go a little bit more deeper into it, so WNS is a BPM company, we call it business process management, and traditionally it was more of a voice and chat and mail based, email and things like that. But of late, as Pravin talked about, right? Every business is adopting basically data driven insight or data driven decision making. And since we are at the back end of it, or a backbone of the business process management, we are the biggest consumer of it, be it for the company we are serving or we are doing our things of our own, right? So that's the way companies consuming data on a day-to-day basis. In terms of offering, so we believe that we have a domain understanding because we started as a captive unit in travel and then moved into retail, hospitality, and then now BFSI is our focus area. And of course, data to insight is the second leg. So domain plus data to insight and digital innovation. These are the three legs on which we basically support our customer. And that's also probably, Bandev, is answer to your question, right? That why we are doing so, because as Pravin talked about, right? Be it domestic company, old, which is core sectors like Tata Motors of the world, Maruti of the world, or you go to a steel company or a aluminum manufacturing, everybody is today consuming data in some or the other form. They need to forecast their supply or demand. They need to adjust their plant so that they are running plant at an efficient way, so that the emission is less, and in multiple other ways it is creeping into it, right? If you go to high-tech company like Flipkart and make my trip or Swiggy of the world, you can imagine what level of data they are consuming on a daily basis to make sure that they can deliver food at your home in 20 minutes. It's a task in itself. Without data, without AI, it's technically next to impossible to deliver grocery at your doorstep in 20 minutes. Though it looks very simple that the grocery shop is next to your house and anybody can just pick it up and then bring it. But then when you try to do it at a million or a 10 million scale, that you are serving 20 million order a day, it becomes a task in itself, right? That the people available at the shop where order needs to be picked up, when you are placing the order, is a task in itself, right? Making things available where it is required. I think this is how data and AI has entered into our consumerism, right? In our day-to-day consumption, be it high-tech, low-tech, whatever way you call it, and hence the need for talent, right? Now to fulfill this demand, be it on a domestic side or to what we call it GCC, right? Global Capability Center, right? So the Fortune 500, Fortune 2000 companies, virtually everybody has their GCC present in India, and through that they are consuming or tapping into our digital talent pool. So that's the one leg for serving the global market out of India. So essentially the entire world is basically looking towards India, sourcing digital talent out of India. And I may not be exaggerating when I say that give and take 50-60% of digital talent in any global company, probably, unless they are very much against going, as Sisa was talking about, like outsourcing. Otherwise, you can safely say that 75% of the Fortune 2000 company probably will have more than 50% digital talent coming out of Asia and India in particular, right? So that's the landscape on that side, and that is getting coupled with the service company like WNS, Infosys, BPA, TCS of the world. So the entire army of outsourcing companies out here is also basically serving through this outsourcing mode, right? So these are the two legs, or technically three legs: domestic consumption, which is right from high tech to low tech, and GCC, which is the captive unit of global companies out there. They are tapping the local market, and then the outsourcing companies in the ITS and in BPM space. I think these are the three legs on which the demand is there. And take my word, this is going to go up only, or maybe quadruple in the next 3-5 years.
Thanks, Jeetendra, for your insightful answers. Moving on to the next, I'd like to start with Pravin. So, so if you look at the skills landscape from an Indian context, what are the top 4 or 5 roles that you see uh, is in demand? So by roles, I mean people like data scientists or ML engineers, people who train the models, etc., or work on ML lifecycle, which
Yeah,
like for
I got
example
that.
ML ops.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that. Instead of talking about the roles, I would talk about skills, because roles are
Interesting.
company specific. Every company has their own way to define a role. And I would say data scientist is one of the most misused role of late, okay, by the recruiters as well as by the candidates. Everyone thinks like doing a course, 3 months crash course, and I mean things like I'm a data scientist. So I will not talk about roles. Skills, I would say, in my opinion, again, I may be around the right answer. Uh, Data engineering or those typical skills, like something around SQL, data engineering, or big data. That is one of the, not in specific order, but that is one of the most, I would say, in demand skill. Another one is the typical data science skills, which includes everything from understanding the business and till tuning and deploying the models. So that set of ML things, that is another important skill. And then apart from that, you would need to have, I mean, the supplementary skills, I would say, that the tools and technology, the secondary skills, the assistants, typically programming languages, the tools. So, and apart from the hard skills, I would talk more about the soft skills. I would divide like the science and art of data. So science is something I spoke about till now, the tools and technologies. But the art, when it comes to the art, that is more required. Like how you look at the problem, looking at a problem as a business user, or in the right context with the right domain understanding, or solving the problem. So instead of creating something that looks really fancy or complicated, creating something that is easy to interpret, easy to understand, and that really solves the problem. That is one skill that is, I would say, uh, is not uh, well known, or not many people go behind that, but that is something, one I would say, that is important. Another soft skill, I would say, uh, ability to maybe learn things at will. You never know like what tool or what language will come into picture, maybe tomorrow, maybe a month later. So you should be able to retrain yourself by your
Mhm.
own. So that is one of the biggest skill. And third one, I would say, being resourceful. I mean, if you don't know the answer, you should be able to find it. Everything is there on Google. It is, and everyone carries Google in your pocket, so you have answers to every question. But asking the right question, and if you get an answer like how to customize that, if you are asking a question about coding, you might get an answer. But customizing that to solve your problem, that is one of the biggest skill, I would say. These are the typical top 2 3 skills in the soft skills, or I would call the art of getting answers, or the skills on the art side of the data. So this is something I look for when I hire or when I interview a candidate. This is something I look for.
Sirisha, your take on this?
Oh yeah, I totally agree with everything that Pravin said. Again, um, to his point, yes, each organization defines it differently. He spoke about. I don't think we should ignore that at all. Overall, I guess what we should look at is data science being a team effort, right? So yeah, there are going to be definitely specific roles, and for all those aspiring to get into data science and be an ML person, I think clearly they'll have to see where they kind of stack up, right? At least in Cigniti, we call out and say, yes, you need to be a data engineer. You need to have a data engineering role, which is all the plumbing work that needs to be done before all those great models happen.
Yeah.
Magically, right? So you need that data engineering role. And other often ignored role is a data analyst role. There is a subtle difference. A data analyst is essentially a guy that will probably work with the decision maker on the customer side, who actually owns the business, understands the data, understands the business problem, does an appropriate translation of it. And because we normally have this challenge of an AI or an ML problem is not going to solve all your use cases. There is going to be a scenario where this particular machine learning model that you've put in production is not going to be able to handle. Then what do you do about it is a common decision that needs to come with the decision maker and the data analyst right in the beginning before you get on this ML journey, right? So data engineer, data analyst, of course, a machine learning engineer, somebody who knows Python programming language or a C++ or any other good programming language. And you will need a data scientist, the traditional data scientist role that people often talk about. There is somebody that we call internally in our team an ML researcher. So that's a role that is a little off the project, right? So that is a person who's actually spending time looking at new developments that are happening in the industry. Because today, every other day, you have a new paper that gets released. Meta is launching something, Meta is releasing something, Google is releasing something, and this large language models, so it's gone crazy in the world right now. So you need somebody who's not bogged down by day-to-day work, who's researching all of the good stuff that's happening and making a recommendation to the delivery teams. So you need an ML researcher. The other important role that I think we should consider and have a lot of value is ascribed to is business risk analyst. Yes, there are going to be people that are delivering on the machine learning projects, but you need somebody who can actually go in and say, I know you've deployed this model in production. What is the good bias in the model? What is the reliability? What is the sensitivity of the model? What is the performance of the model? So somebody who understands the business risk of actually deploying and consuming a model in the enterprise, that's something that I think is important. Of course, yeah, the engineers, ML deployment, ops, all of that is good. In fact, what we've seen is for one of the implementation that we did for a customer of ours in the US, we actually had to have an ethicist in the team. And this is not like a common role, but if you are building something that is helping make a decision that borders on ethics, should I give a opportunity for a kid to be put on a program or not? You need ethicist on the team to try and understand the nuances of what you're trying to automate, right? So yeah, but just to summarize, I think decision maker from the customer side or the business side, and if it's your own business, you need a decision maker there. Data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, business risk analyst, and an ML researcher, in addition to ops and others. Yeah, that's what I think makes sense.
I would like to add something
Sure,
Ma'am said, business risk analyst. I mean, that is one role I missed. Business analyst, somebody who understands both the parties, who understands the business, who understands the technology. And he's the one who really needs to think. So he's the one who, if goes wrong, things can go seriously wrong. So,
Absolutely.
and let me tell you, there is a huge scarcity of this particular role in the industry. It's difficult to find people who can understand a lot of domain along with some high level. I mean, they do understand some high level of the technology, but they need to understand the domain really well, the business acumen.
Excellent points, Pravin. Jeetendra, your take on this? This skills part?
I think Sirisha covered that very well. I would only just elaborate a little bit more, saying that as he said, like data science project is a teamwork. So basically it's a value chain, right? The way we were developing application, right? So you have a front end developer to a back end developer to somebody who is managing the application to somebody who is deploying the application and then running the IT infra to make sure that your app is not crashing, right? So in a similar way, data science has taken a form and shape, as he was referring to, a customer experience. What we call it, or industry probably has started calling it, like a responsible AI or an ethical AI. And if you look at the now entire value chain of ethical AI or a responsible AI, and that's rightly so, because you are deploying a model to, let's say, decide the insurance premium policy, or you are building a model to handle your customer loyalty basically, and hence some bonuses are linked, or the incentives or reward points are getting associated with that, right? And now if you are crossing the red line drawn by the law of the land, which is ethical or unethical thing, I mean, the model will always be greedy to make more money, or increase the business objectives you have given, because enter that is a mathematical function at the back end. It doesn't have emotion, right? So if I look at in a framework of responsible or ethical AI, then as I think already Pravin talked about it. So right from data ingestion, how do you or deal with the data? If you are feeding a biased data to the model, it's natural that the model will be biased. Do whatever you like, right? So how do you make sure that the business analyst Sirisha talked about is making sure that we are not feeding into a biased data into the model learning, right? So right from their ETL layer to or data ingestion layer, making sure that the right data is getting into the value chain, and then the right set of people who are aware of the latest state of the art model. So be it ChatGPT of the world, if you are deploying, let's say, custom ChatGPT, it will do whatever it has been trained on. But if you want to really customize it to your business need, then you need to know what kind of input you are going to feed so that it is giving you a relevant answer. Otherwise, it can easily go haywire, right? So those are so it's a big value chain. Of course, within that, to summarize, maybe if I have to, uh, it's just like a low end of the spectrum where you have a low code, no code kind of a tool where everything is automated. Data comes in, you just, in fact, model is already selected, and probably the dashboard also will come out and you put that into PPT. I'm just simplifying it. Okay. It's not that simple, and nothing against them. Just to highlight that there are different levels of maturity within the value chain. So low code, no code is created for those people who are not really a data scientist, or Srisha talked about ML researcher, or different companies are naming it differently. But that's a high end of the spectrum. But that is somebody who is core to mathematics, statistics, and they can understand what is this new model or methods are, how it will be relevant, how it is to be applied. That's the level of maturity they bring, and probably they are on the top end of the spectrum. That's why they are called researcher or innovators and things like that. And they are the one probably who can build a newer model altogether, a newer algorithm altogether, because there are companies out there, large language model or anything else. Somebody is building those models, right? So that's definitely a very niche, very premium market out there. Probably we don't need more than 5% of the resources sitting in that bracket. But then as you go down, the people who are consuming that, then people who are automating it. So the value chain is pretty, I would say, wide and large. And then probably there is a role for everybody who is from a, let's say, simple BSc background, BSc mathematics even, or physics probably can learn it. Or somebody from a not computer science but want to do data science, again, they can also come in and join this value chain. But they just need to know what is best for them. They should not be aspiring for the top 2% of the ML engineer at Google and Facebook, where people are developing new model. That will not work out. Otherwise, there is a role for everybody, and this is a great opportunity for everybody to ride this boom. So that's the way I'll put it, Bandev. I hope it makes sense, right?
Yeah, that was actually good. I mean, yeah, I really agree. I mean, there is a role for everyone, but you need to find out like where you exactly fit. I mean, don't go for the titles.
Very important.
Yeah.
Correct. And on a lighter side, I mean, most likely the data scientists are not going to be the CEO of the company. So anyway, you aspire to be a CEO or or a business leader, then you need to take a revenue facing role, right? So that's a good news for somebody who's not so techy on data science. I mean, they should also be happy after listening to us, right?
Sure. Thank you for your insightful answers. With this, we come to the end of episode 1 of our discussion about the state of data science and AI skills in India. Our conversation with Sirisha, Jeetendra, and Pravin will continue. So stay tuned for part 2 of this discussion, where we talk about the challenges faced while hiring and how talent pool complementing L&D activities along the top 5 priority skills for people coming in from other roles, non-data science roles. Like, share, and subscribe to NASSCOM Community and Insights YouTube channel. Till then, it's goodbye from everyone from us over here at NASSCOM Insights. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bandev.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.